Background of this question is that in the Aura Dating Academy, it's not a pickup school. So we're not here to help you get laid. There are guys who do that. Love Systems, I think in their marketing, is trying to target that, and that's one thing that they do pretty well. But we have a lot of people who are looking for long-term partners. It's a pretty traditional country here, and I respect that a lot. So as far as getting a long-term partner, one of the issues is the 5 C's. So there's this thing in Singapore called the 5 C's. It's been around since whenever it was formulated in the 90s or something, 80s. So what are the 5 C's? Anyone help me out here?
Cash, car, condo, credit card, and club membership.
Club membership, okay, right. So cash, if you can't hear that, cash, credit card, condo, country club membership, and car? Car, okay. One thing on the car, which has been another hobby horse of mine.
You have to bid for a license before you can buy a car.
Yeah,
it's
and then when you do get the license, you have to pay to bid. You have to pay for the right for the privilege of bidding. COE currently is around 40 grand. It used
Depends on the car.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's pegged to the car. And in the end, if you add up all the import taxes and everything, it comes up to almost 300% taxes over buying a car in America. So later on, when you go to MBS, you guys are going to MBS, you see the Lamborghinis parked out front. Those are actually $1 million vehicles.
Yeah, nothing less than $1 million.
Yeah, whereas in the States, you can get it for 200,000 or something like that.
Okay.
Okay, so you see that. So what's interesting about that is they become even more of a status symbol. The more you jack it up, then the more of a difference it is between like a Toyota Camry and that Lamborghini. It's now 300% more. Okay, so what do you think? What are your views on the importance of wealth and status as far as attracting women?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it definitely helps. Like if you have it, you definitely have an edge over other guys who don't have it. Do you need it? Needing is kind of a big word. You don't really need it because eventually she will. If you get enough time for her to see you who you really are, and you guys match, she will oversee that. But if she has other guys competing for you, it becomes a lot tougher game. But the thing is, like, when we talk about this long-term and lifestyle, eventually you want to be the perfect guy for her, right? And you want to have the perfect girl for you. So I see this a lot as like self-improvement. You always want to work towards higher levels of yourself, like become like the best version of you. So being well off or working on your career all the time, being well educated, anything that will improve your overall life will make you more attractive to women, right? So, for example, one easy thing you can do is work on your fashion. Right? So, for example, start reading up on how guys dress up. What are some fundamental pieces that you have to wear? One thing I notice here is a lot of guys wear glasses. Like, make sure if you do wear glasses that they are very that they're designer glasses, so that they're stylish. So when a girl sees you and she sees that you have stylish glasses, she knows she can assume a lot of good things about you if you have that, and that's what you want. That's what when she sees a wealthy guy, like she will assume a lot of good things about him just because he has that wealth. But the way I see it is like wealth is kind of like the fruition of his passion. Right? It just paid off at some point because he had a lot of passion for something and he worked for it. It doesn't work when you have family money, but like that's the way I see it. Is like if you put in the time, the effort into it, at some point it's going to fruition where you are your best self. Because to get to that level, you have to be a certain type of person. Right? You have to be able to work and have ethics and do things like that to work yourself up. So if you're someone who is just stale all the time and doesn't work on himself all the time, there's only a certain type of girl you will be able to attract. Whereas if you're a guy who always does like self-improvement, always make sure that you're your best self, then yeah, you're gonna get a certain type of girl that will be best for you too. Right? So if you want to get your 10, so to speak, your 10, you have to be her 10 too. Right? She wants the perfect guy, but you want the perfect girl, so you guys have to match up at some point. Right? That's why you'll never see a celebrity date a guy who works at McDonald's. Doesn't happen because she expects a certain type of guy If you are not that type of guy, then it becomes very hard to get her, to date her, so to speak. Right? So you have to become a certain type of guy. And if you become a certain type of guy, then you are able to date certain type of girls. That is just the reality. So having all the 5 C's will give you a lot more options. If you have 4 C's, that will give you less options. If you have 1 C, that will give you a certain type of girl. And one thing I've noticed here is, like in Asia, we were talking about this, my friends here too, is like status here gets you a lot more than status in America. So if you, like here, wealth plays a big role because something I've noticed is like me and my friends are living in Thailand right now. And by the mere fact that you're Caucasian, girls will assume X, Y, and Z about you. That you have money, you have like everything else going for you. Right? So if you become like successful in your own area, and you can display that to a girl, she will start to assume a lot of good things about you. Like you don't have to be like the best of the best, but if you can convince or show her that you are like one of your top guys in your field, that's good enough, because eventually status is just still something relative in her head, right? Something relative. So if you can show that to her, that will build a lot of attraction with her. Now, if she gets floundered with money with a guy who drives a Lamborghini and pays her rent and things like that, and she probably will take that, But in the end, this especially when this also depends what type of girl you deal with. Like certain girls are very money hungry. Certain girls want to be with a guy who they have like a good connection with. So that you'll see tons of girls who will date a rich guy, make sure that he pays for everything, but meanwhile be around a guy that gives her really good sex. You'll see that a lot. So you can, technically you can be that guy who gives her that sex, and she could at some point decide that she wants to be with you instead of that rich guy. It's not uncommon for that to happen. So don't be intimidated when you see other guys who have like the 5 C's and you're like, oh my God, I don't have that. Like, what do I do now? Like, that's a really quick way to get depressed. If you start comparing yourself to other guys who are way better than you, you start to think, okay, what's wrong with me? Am I too ugly, or like, am I not good enough? If you start comparing yourself to that, I mean, you're really setting yourself up for failure. You also start looking for yourself and see what are the good things about yourself. Like, you're well-traveled, you have a good education, you're working hard, you have ethics and things like that. That will boost your self-esteem. And when you interact with a girl, she can really feel that. Like, in our brains, we have these things called mirror neurons where you can almost feel what someone else feels. So, for example, if you're really in a negative mood, you start talking to a girl, well, guess what? She's going to feel that, that energy of like, oh, that guy's in a bad mood. Is that a good starting point to start talking to a girl? Of course not. Right? You want to be the guy who is very happy. Like most guys I see that are very good with women are happy guys. All right, people who just are very happy in general. Like that's some people call this like inner game, where you're very confident. I think happiness is like a big thing. Like if you're a happy guy, you're that by itself will get you a lot more girls. Whereas a guy who's very negative but has good game.
So would you say a woman looks for a man who can be the best or excels in whatever he does?
Yeah, like I think passion is a very important thing.
Okay.
Like you don't have to be the best of the best. You have to be able to show her that you can be the best. I think that's very important.
Yeah, no woman wants a loser.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's another way to put it.
Well, I noticed that actually in your blog you wrote this post about, it was a while back, about this issue about wealth or something, and it was, in the long term, it will come up. So, so that something like at the 1 month mark or something, these wealth issues come. You like how I read your blog?
Yeah.
All right. But you're saying that just for to hook up with a guy, it doesn't come up so much. Because he can give her what she needs in the short run.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what I was getting to earlier with the sexual confidence. Even if you're wealthy and you have status, in terms of inside the bedroom, it's the same thing. You still have the same equipment as the other guy, I'm hoping. So that it's a level playing field at that point, right? So If in the long term she needs resources for her family, for the kids, she wants to be taken care of, that will kick in later. But in terms of the bedroom, if you're looking for same-night hookups or just sexual intimacy, it's much less of an issue. But evolutionarily speaking, wealth and status are both indicators of power. So women naturally, through tens of thousands, 100,000s of years, have wanted men who are powerful. It's in their best interests for the preservation of their genes to mate with the powerful man. But if you don't have that, one way to do it is something I get all the Euro dating members to do is to list their current value, like what you were saying, like list the things that you are passionate about, that you're proud of, your accomplishments, and see all of that. And notice that none of them say that I'm awesome with women. Right? That's really important so that your validation doesn't come from women, but it comes from these other things. But then even if some other guy has a better resume than you, if you're sexually confident, if you're just happy with who you are, that can take you a very, very long way.
Yeah, what David was talking about was, there's a lot of research done into this area where most women will not date a certain guy for socio-economic reasons. So, for example, a good example is the example I mentioned earlier, where a superstar celebrity will never date a McDonald's guy, because later on, when it becomes real, when you guys move in together, you guys start traveling together, she will expect a certain amount of, she will have certain expectations, right? Where you have to be able to take her on a trip to somewhere, or be able to take care of her, things like that. So that's why I said earlier, you always want to keep working on yourself, because the more you work on yourself and your career and your passions, the more options you will get with women. That's just the way it is. There's tons of guys who have a lot of money but have no game at all, and you can out compete them, so to speak, by being able to approach with them. Because most guys who have no game at all but have a lot of money cannot even approach a girl. So you already have a big advantage by the fact that you can approach a girl and have a good conversation. Most guys cannot do that. Now it becomes a lot tougher when you're in a nightclub and all these guys have tens of bottles around their table. Girls, their brain will go money, wealth, status. That's just the way the beast works. That's just what happens. But if you can approach, you demonstrate enough self-confidence, you're a funny guy, you can have a good conversation with her. That value change will go towards you, right? So being able to approach already gives you huge advantage over most guys. You don't have to be Superman, you don't have to be the best guy in the world. You just have to be better than the guy in the club that has the most power, so to speak. Just a little bit better. You don't have to be the best in the world, just a little bit better to get the girl.
In fact, for more advanced guys, you can actually piggyback off the rich guy's status and wealth by befriending him and then getting him to do you favors and that sort of thing, and for him to look up to you. At that point, all of the value transfers to you, even though he's paying for everything. But if he starts pouring you drinks, starts asking, hey man, what else, anything else you want? What do you want? He starts deferring to you, showing you the menu, you pick a bottle, just introducing you to people. That can go a long way. That's another skill though, is just befriending other guys and showing what value you can offer to them and that sort of thing.